Wait a minute. It's Friday? It's time for Stan the Fan, Chief Grandpa Man, and the Friday Baseball Show. Griffin Bass helps bring more class to the Friday Baseball Show. They'll talk best games, Dan Charles is his name on the Friday Baseball Show. He's been in the owner's suite. He's been doing sports talk since 81. He's only lived in Baltimore for 45 years, but we'll give him a break on that hump. They'll acknowledge football, don't expect calls. It's the Friday Baseball Show. It's okay to say Glenn's back on Monday, but this is the Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show.
And it is Friday. That does mean it's the Friday Baseball Show, back after a week's absence. Not because I didn't want to do a show. We didn't have a producer to do the show because Griffin Bass.
No, you didn't want to.
Class. Anyway, we are back this week. I will be missing probably the next 2 weeks of the show, having hip replacement surgery this Tuesday. And let me take care of one other bit of business. If you're going out today at all, my wife told me this morning that God bless you. God bless you again, Griffin Bass. Griffin Bass has some class, but he likes to sneeze.
I don't like to sneeze. I'll put
Nobody
that out there.
Likes to sneeze. My wife told me this morning, Griffin, that if you are going out, I don't know the length of time you're out, but if you are going out, that it's like smoking 12 packs of cigarettes today. The smoke, the inhalation of smoke from the wildfires in Canada. What do you think of them apples?
I heard that as well, or something similar to that.
Yep.
And yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate what's happening in Canada, and yeah, it's crazy that we are feeling the effects here in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, and just the way that the smoke. I mean, this happened a couple of years ago as well. I remember, and it really stinks. It really stinks.
It really stinks. Yeah. And
but yeah, I guess stay safe.
It's also not healthy. So
yeah,
my point was, if you have any leftover masks from COVID, and I think everybody does, they're in a drawer somewhere, and you're going out for any length of time today, you might want to put that mask on and keep it on, okay? Even while you're in your car. And it says something about
really in your car.
I'm not that sophisticated with this. It says put your air conditioner on circulation.
Oh.
So I don't know. I turn my air conditioning on. I know it's up or down. It's down at the bottom. It's through the middle, or it's both. But I don't know exactly how to circulate my air. So I'm just telling you, it's not great out there. Here's what we've got on the show today. First of all, Luke Jackson, managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com, will join the show. He will be in studio with us in about 30 minutes. But before that, at 11:15, we're going to be joined by a somewhat regular guest when we're talking baseball draft, and that's Dan Zielinski of Baseball Prospect Journal. He can be followed on X at Dan Zielinski, the number 3. You spell Zielinski, you spell Dan, D-A-N. You spell Zielinski, Z-I-E-L-I-N-S-K-I.
Well done.
The number
well done.
3.
You win the spelling bee, Stan, when you...
I'm always been a pretty good speller. I've been a pretty good
How
speller.
about a pronouncer?
No. Victor Wembanyama.
No.
Yama.
That,
Wembanyama.
You still missed the middle part of the syllable, but yeah, that was closer.
Wembanyama.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Wembanyama.
I'm getting closer. Wembanyama.
Bam. Look at that. Go ahead.
He's Bam?
Wembanyama.
How do you pronounce Bam's last name?
Bam Adebayo?
Adebayo.
Bam. Yeah, there you go. You got it.
What do you
Bam.
think of him?
Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently he's getting in fights. Yeah, I know.
Hero got a Bam.
Yeah, Tyler Hero doesn't think much of him.
I like that Hero's not making that big a deal out of this, though. You know, that he just wants to move on, you know. I can only imagine
what did they say?
Bam
Bam attacked Hero or Hero attacked him? I forget what the...
I'm guessing...
It's crazy. Glenn and I have not talked about that yet
I'm
this
guessing
week.
that Bam did not... I mean, that Hero didn't attack Bam. That would be stupid.
You think so?
Yeah. How tall is Hero? Like 6'3"?
Probably, yeah. He might be
6'2"?
even a little bit taller than that.
Then Bam's like 6'10", like about 240.
Bam apparently went after Hero. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bam's huge though. Yeah, he's massive.
I wonder what precipitated that. I wonder if it was over a woman. You know.
That's where Bam is 6'9".
Yeah.
Hero
is.
I mean, he's not going to back down though. He's a scrappy guy.
No, he's a scrappy.
Yeah,
there's no question.
He's 6'5". You gotta.
Okay.
You're gonna walk around with
I
some
take it
confidence.
back. He's got some swag.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, speaking of the fight, the Orioles are trying to get back in the fight.
Nice.
And
this is why you're a pro.
Yeah. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
They're trying to get back in the fight. They're trying to go after Hero. You know, the Orioles are Bam, and the rest of the AL East is Hero, right? Or is it the opposite way?
I guess we don't really know what the altercation was about.
Yeah,
so we don't know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are.
Yeah. There are more than those two guys in it?
Well, we don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are backing Bam and there's people backing Hero.
Yeah. I'm a Hero guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a Hero guy. Anyway, as we start the second half of the season, which I always laugh at that, we've got like 65 games to go. We played like 97 games, but we're entering the second half of the season. We're actually entering like the last 40% of the season. Anyway, the Orioles are in fourth place in the American League East. That's not really the important thing, although they are in fourth place. Tampa is 56.
You mean the standings aren't important?
The standings are important, but the first place is very unrealistic.
Okay.
So is the first wild card spot.
Okay.
But
all right,
we're in a pitch battle with about 7 teams, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I think we're in a battle with Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota, Seattle, Texas, Houston, Boston, Toronto. That's like 8 teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's because there's no clear leader in the Central or West right now, so we're basically grouping all of those entire divisions in the wild card race. So
exactly.
That's what makes it extremely complicated.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good chance that the Central and the West, between the two divisions, will get at most one wild card spot.
Yes. Yeah.
I would say the Central will get
of course,
card.
as it stands right now, Cleveland and Seattle, both wild card teams.
Yeah.
But Seattle is 1 game under 500, and they have the third wild card.
Right.
So.
Okay. But anyway, the Orioles have won 4 straight. They will take the Houston Astros on tonight at Minute Maid Park. What time is game time tonight?
8:10, I believe.
8:10. I like that time. I can have a nice, relaxing dinner, rest up a tiny bit.
You'll have to let me know what happens. I gotta watch the Odyssey tonight. So
what's the Odyssey?
You haven't heard of the Odyssey?
No.
That's the new Christopher Nolan movie.
That movie. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to it?
Yeah.
When you said I've got to watch it.
Well, I mean, I have to watch the movie. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, well, because
it's the
most. No, I can't go this. I got Glenn's show this afternoon. I got to work
from 3 to 5.
4:35. Yeah.
4:30.
We'll probably go to 5. We always do.
Okay, so 3 to 5. You got 3 hours there. How long?
Yeah, but I want to see it. It's like 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to see it in the best format possible.
Are you going to tape
8 o'clock.
it? Are you going to tape it?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Tape
the Oriole game.
I'm not going to tape the Oriole game. Okay. No. I mean, unless something.
Will you have your phone in the theater?
No. For the Odyssey, no chance. No chance.
Now, why is the Odyssey so exciting to you?
Well, because Nolan's doing it, and also, I mean, it's one of the greatest stories ever told. So on surface, it's like, how could anyone fit the Odyssey, into a movie? But if anyone could, it's going to be Christopher Nolan. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
By the way, have you watched? Do you have Apple TV?
Yes.
Have you watched Maximum Satisfaction Guaranteed?
Not yet. Is that a show? I'm not great on shows right now.
It's a 10-parter, but they're 40 minutes each. It's really, really entertaining. Very entertaining. Okay.
All right, I'll try. I'll check it out. Check it out.
Anyway,
Maximum pleasure guarantee.
Anyway,
Jake Johnson.
Red Sox have won 9 in a row.
That's right. We're talking baseball.
They are a game and a half on top of the Orioles because they've played less games. They've only played 94 games, or 46 and 48. The Orioles are 46 and 51. We play now 3 games in Houston. I somehow lost track. It's very easy for me to do at my age, Griff. We're having Luke Jackson in.
Yeah, I wrote it down for you somewhere.
But we're also going to have Evan
Drellich,
Dan Zielinski on, and Evan Drellich of The Athletic.
Correct.
To talk about the labor stuff going on.
Correct. Evan has been waist deep in the covering the CBA negotiations.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So
he'll tell us if
there's going to be baseball next year.
He's also waist deep in this story that I find really fascinating, that Major League Baseball is already keenly aware that not a lot of players are going to be real interested in Olympic baseball in the middle of the season.
But they have been campaigning for it, which is the odd, Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper. They've both talked about having Olympic, having baseball, letting professional baseball players play in the Olympics.
Okay.
So,
those
are the two of the guys that you're going to want to spearhead this if you want it to work.
But I have to laugh. Rob Manfred is quoted. This is saying the article by Evan Drellich is fearing Olympics participation issues. MLB is proposing stiff penalties for players who skip out.
Correct. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of him kind of saying, listen, if our biggest stars, Judge and Harper and others, if they're going to say we want players to play in the Olympics, then you better play in the Olympics. We can't get to July 10th and you guys are like, "Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to participate."
What is their right to fine players stiff penalties for skipping the Olympics? It's not unless their contracts something.
They said they're going to fine them. I know. I saw.
Well, it says
you have to have like a valid excuse, like if you're on the IL, obviously, but also if you're going to be on the IL, you have to be out for 3 weeks.
What right does MLB have? Is it in players' contracts that they have to show up wherever MLB tells them?
Well, that's probably what they're talking about in this new CBA stand.
Okay,
well, try to get to the bottom of it.
I don't know. This seems, and this is what I love. This is what I love. Here's the quote from Rob Manfred. Manfred, meanwhile, said the proposal was made on the premise that the 2028 Summer Games are a unique opportunity to market the sport with our very, very best players.
Exactly that. Exactly. You want the biggest stars on the biggest stage, and if MLB's taking 3 weeks off from their season, I don't know if it'll end up being 3 weeks, but if they're taking a week plus off from their season, middle of the season,
the whole thing. I got to be honest with you. I get the NFL, the whole thing about playing in Europe and everywhere. To me, this whole concept of Olympic baseball interrupting the Major League Baseball season is bullshit. There, I've said it, okay? Our guest appears like he's ready. He's on our screen. He's Dan Zielinski of Baseball Prospect Journal. Dan, thank you very much for joining us again. It's good to see your face again.
Yeah, it's always good to speak with you, Stan.
Wanted to ask you right off the bat how you think the Orioles did. If you're an Orioles fan, and I know you're not, but are you happy that instead of Drew Burress, they ended up with Eric Booth?
I think they definitely got the better player out of the two, the higher player on the Orioles draft board. Overall, I really like the class the Orioles have. They took some high upside high school guys while also mixing it in with some proven college performers and some guys that maybe underperformed a little bit at the college level, and maybe a couple tweaks will unlock some things at the professional level. So I think it was a really good draft. Like we talked about leading up to the draft, there's a lot of questions who would be available for the Orioles at that first pick. And we see some surprises go for the Pirates and Royals, and Eric Booth Jr., who's incredibly talented, ends up being there on the board for them.
What is the time frame? In other words, I know he's 18 years old. Is he 3 years away? Is he longer than that, perhaps? What do you think?
I would say he's probably 3 to 4 years away. The biggest question is going to be how does he first start off in pro ball, because that really sets the tone early on. If guys can get off to a hot start and teams can maybe get a little bit more aggressive with them. He performed really well on the showcase circuit last summer against premium high school pitching. So that's encouraging. Obviously, playing in Mississippi, the high school talent's not the best, but like I said, he performed really well on the showcase circuit. So that's encouraging. I think that's going to help him as he gets going here against older pitchers, pitchers with better breaking pitches and premium velocity.
One last question about Booth. You know the Orioles system in terms of what places they play at. Is he below Delmarva to start? Is he rookie ball to start?
Yeah, I think probably the rest of this year he probably ends up in rookie ball, and then come next spring they'll kind of figure it out and where they want to start him. But that's usually how teams mostly handle it, is especially with the high school guys, they try to start him off, just kind of get them all acclimated to pro ball before kind of being a little bit more aggressive with them come their first full year.
Dan, good to talk to you again. Curious about. I feel like the general consensus was this wasn't the best pitching draft, at least at the very top of the draft. Was it surprising at all that the Orioles, given the fact that they're still kind of still looking for pitching, and obviously you're picking a pitcher in the draft isn't going to help their big league team right away, but was it surprising at all that they didn't change their philosophy and attack pitching a little bit earlier, or do you think this was kind of right on par with what you expected from Mike Elias?
Yeah, this was really right on par with what I expected from the Orioles and their front office. As you guys know, they've really preferred those position players early on in the draft, especially college position players, taking 6 college position players out of the last 7 years with Jackson Holiday mixed in there. And like you mentioned, the pitching crop just really never materialized in this year's draft. Guys really just underperformed, injuries, things like that. So really the only obvious option there at 7 was Jackson Flora, and obviously he didn't make it there. So it really made sense that they went a position player with Eric Booth. And then I really do like some of the arms they got later on in that top 10 rounds. I think there's some value there. And I think that's what most scouts expected, was there might not be that premium first, second round type guys there, especially from the college side, but there is some depth with a lot of parity among these guys. And we saw the Orioles take a few of those guys throughout those first 10 rounds.
I actually thought that this draft displayed a difference in philosophy by Mike Elias. They took 11 pitchers, which there were a few of the drafts where he would draft like 2 or 3. To me, he's got, I don't know a thing about most of these arms, but there's depth in numbers there, and you got to believe if they can develop any of these people, they've got some live arms there.
Without a doubt, it's going to be really interesting to see who they all sign from the 11th through 20th rounds. I think that will be big as well. But a couple of the pitchers, are really intriguing. Zane Adams is one of those guys I really like. He was their 6th round pick. He was someone that was just a consistent college performer throughout his 3 years at Alabama, was draft eligible as a sophomore, chose to come back for his junior year, and he increased his strikeouts, decreased his walks, got great size at 6'4", 205 pounds, easy delivery, really mixes in a mid-90s fastball with a quality breaking pitch, and probably has the best changeup in this year's draft class. So he's a guy that might not be, the next Paul Skeens, but I think he's definitely a guy that's very capable of being a major league starting pitcher down the line.
Do you have a couple other names out of, I don't think we've got time to go over all 11, but who do you like among the other arms?
Yeah, that's a great question. One guy that really intrigues me is their 11th rounder, and that is Ross Norman. He's a right-handed pitcher out of Coastal Carolina. He started his college career at Georgia State and then pitched his junior season at Coastal Carolina. If you just look at the numbers, it doesn't look very impressive at all. He struggled to limit guys at times, and that shows in his ERA that was over 6. But really, the pitches are there. The ingredients to being a successful starter in pro ball are there. He's 6'7", 210, which is really intriguing. But even with that size, his delivery is pretty smooth, not a lot of effort, and he's pretty straight to the plate, so that's encouraging. Fastball touches mid 97, around 97. Has a really good slider as well that he mixes in. The biggest thing with him is just trying to figure out ways to kind of refine some of those pitches to generate more swings and misses, so he's not always getting hit up as much as he did at Coastal Carolina. But I think he's a really intriguing guy for the Orioles, and if they can develop him, they'll have a starter there down the line.
Before we get back into the position players, then one other pitcher, obviously the highest pitcher they drafted, Dominic Vagel from the University of Kansas. Sounds like kind of similar to Norman, a really high ERA, but what's the upside with him?
Yeah, Dominic Vagel, he's a guy that's 6'2", 200 pounds, right-handed pitcher. He came in his freshman year at Kansas and was one of the best starting pitchers out of the freshman group that season. And then the next couple of years, he really didn't have that similar success that he did freshman year, but his pure stuff is really good. He's got that mid-90s fastball that he commands extremely well, locates it in the spots he wants to. And then he has a curveball and slider that both generate a lot of swings and misses. He's a guy that throws a lot of strikes. And again, I think just a professional player development system is really going to benefit him because he's got all the traits to be a starter long term. He's just got to be able to get guys out and be able to kind of early on in counts locate his pitches so that way he's not fighting from behind.
We're talking with Dan Zielinski of the Baseball Prospect Journal, and you can follow Dan at Dan Zielinski, the number 3. Zielinski is spelled Zielinski, at Dan Zielinski 3. Dan, getting back over to some of the position players, do you like Ty Head?
I go back and forth on Ty Head. I think the biggest thing with Ty Head is that he's got great plate discipline. He doesn't swing and miss at pitches out of the strike zone, but he doesn't impact the baseball. And for, his ability to understand pitches and what's coming to him, he doesn't produce. So I'm really curious to see how he does at the professional level, because if he can generate ways to impact the baseball more, maybe generate a little bit more power as well, he's a guy that, has got the tools to hit, but he's just got to produce. And he didn't do that necessarily at the college level.
That sounds an awful lot like Vance Honeycutt. He's got the tools and he's toolsy, but he hasn't impacted the ball too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's kind of like that as well. I think their 4th rounder, Kevin Roberts Jr., is like a mini Vance Honeycutt to some extent, and we can dive into him if you want. Yeah. But
that's all I needed to hear.
He was a guy that last year.
So he's like Vance Honeycutt.
Roberts is at least a high schooler, right? So
he's a high schooler. He's a Mississippi high school player. He's a guy that was a 3-sport athlete in high school: track, basketball, and baseball. Last summer, he entered the showcase circuit as a potential 1st-round pick, and he just did not hit at all. He really struggled against those premium arms, but you look at him and he's an extremely impressive, just physically 6'5", 220, super athletic, really quick, is going to be able to stick in center field long-term, can cover all the ground necessary, has a pretty strong arm. He did have a shoulder injury in high school. He was a pitcher as well at one point, getting up to like mid-90s, but had a shoulder injury and then just focused on being a position player. And a guy with above average raw power, but the question is, can he put the bat on the ball to get to that power? So kind of reminds me a lot of Vance Honeycutt and some of these other guys the Orioles have taken in recent years. But the tools are there. It's just high risk, high reward.
He reminds you of Vance Honeycutt, but he's like Vance Honeycutt light.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Vance Honeycutt's hitting about 210 at Chesapeake. Okay. Or actually, he's still at Frederick, right?
I think
Vance
so,
Honeycutt.
Yeah.
All right. Or is there any other position player that stands out to you among the 9 position players they took?
Yeah, one guy was their 5th rounder, Jimmy Anderson. He's a shortstop out of the JUCO area. He's a guy the Orioles took in the 19th round in 2025. The Orioles have been high on him and kind of on his radar for a while. He's someone I'm really curious to see how he transitions to pro ball. He's got the skills to handle shortstop long term. I think he's probably better suited though for second base. He's athletic, got a quality to maybe average arm. At the plate, kind of quick to the ball. The mechanics are a little bit unusual at times with his swing, but he produces. So I'm curious to see how he performs, Jimmy Anderson, just because the Orioles have been high on him for a while and really kind of watching him and intrigued with him over these last couple of years.
He's a shortstop, so could he be like Cal Ripken light? That would be
unfortunately not.
That would be better than Vance Honeycutt light. I wanted to ask you one more round of questions, and that is, I thought it was interesting, and I'm not sure whether they drafted or signed any other undrafted free agents, but the article I read lists 5 pitchers that they drafted, and I'm wondering, among them, Camden Wicker, David Lally from Michigan, Regan Hall from Illinois, Colton Sampson from Seminole State, and Noah Chapman from UNC Greensboro. Are you familiar with any of them, and do any of them intrigue you at all? They're all pitchers.
Do they intrigue me? I mean, there's a reason they went undrafted.
Yeah.
I think what stands out...
I only bring that up because 2 of their better pitching prospects in the last 2 years have been Brandon Young and Trey Gibson, both undrafted.
Yeah, I think what stands out about those guys is they really targeted mostly in that group
college guys
and Power 5 conference players who have pitched against quality hitters. So they're mature, they understand pitching. Some of those guys have decent pitch mixes as well. So signing them as an undrafted guy, there's not a lot of risk, obviously. So I think, if one of them hits, that'd be great, but I wouldn't get your hopes up either.
Okay. Very good. As usual, your content is always terrific. What's up on the website? Where do you move from here? Do you write a lot about how teams did in their drafts?
Yeah, now with guys starting to sign, we'll start having some articles come out about how teams did, players that stand out of the groups that signed. And then we're really going to start focusing on 2027 here in the next month or so. And then come probably September, start getting up, draft feature articles with our interviews with guys as well. So really there's never a downtime. It's just on to the next cycle.
So the 2, in recapping real quick, the 2 guys you like most, it sounds like, are Booth and Vagel.
That's correct. Yeah, I think that's fair. Zane Adams intrigues me.
Zane Adams, yeah, okay.
Kevin Roberts is intriguing, but there's so much risk. Yeah. And we saw in this draft that teams preferred guys with that contact-oriented skill set, and that's part of the reason why Kevin Roberts dropped. So he makes me concerned, but he could be a star.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Dan Zielinski, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Again. We'll talk to you. It won't be a year before we talk to you, I promise. All right?
We'll talk. Sounds good. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. We're going to take a timeout. When we get back, the managing editor of PressBox and PressBoxOnline.com, Luke Jackson, will be in the studio. We're going to be joined by Evan Drellich. We've still got This Week in the Rest of Baseball coming up, and a lot more Orioles talk on the Friday Baseball Show. Stan the Fan and Griffin Bass.
The stars are shining brighter at Live Casino this summer. Celebrate America's 250th with $1 million. Earn entries daily July 1st through August 29th and snap a pic with our game board for a chance to win $100 in free play every week. We'll draw 50 free play winners each Saturday and $1 million winner on August 29th. Light it up at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, ICAR Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
This is Byron Warnkin. If you've been injured in a car or truck crash, you probably know this is stressful. Medical bills, the insurance company giving you the runaround, you got to get your car fixed. You don't just need a lawyer, you need results. At Warnkin LLC, we represent the injured across Maryland. Whether it's a car or truck crash case, medical malpractice, or any other serious personal injury, we fight for maximum compensation for you and maximum ease for you. You don't want to have to deal with this stuff. Warnkin LLC has been voted best personal injury law firm in Maryland for a reason. For us, 443 Results isn't just a phone number, it's our mission. Get the advocate that you need. Call us today, 443 Results, or visit us online, warnkinlaw.com. That's WARNKENLAW.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
Hi, everyone. There's nothing I love more than hearing Stan the Fan and Griffin talk baseball. Here they are.
It's Stan the Fan and Griffin Bass on the Friday Baseball Show, and bringing some more class and a bigger ass is Luke Jackson, our managing
How do you know
editor.
he's got a big intro? How do you know he's got a bigger ass than me?
Well, I know Luke pretty well. Not intimately, but I know him pretty well. By the way, Luke Jackson worked his ass off on this issue of PressBox, which is out now and will be out until the middle of August.
Where can folks find that, Stan?
They can find it at over 400 locations around town, an awful lot of highs, and just a ton of places all over town.
And PressBoxOnline.com.
And PressBoxOnline.com. All right. Luke Jackson is here. Luke, we've got Evan Drellich in
a couple of minutes.
Looks like 5 minutes. Start of the second half. You mildly excited? You interested?
I'm interested.
You're
Absolutely.
interested. Okay.
And as you have mentioned in the past, it's not really the second half. It's really like the final third.
Yeah.
It's like they've got 60-something games left.
Yeah.
And it's like a 2-week sprint to the deadline.
Yeah.
Before they got to figure out what they're going to do at the deadline. So at this point, it really feels like less of a marathon and more of a sprint, particularly this time of year.
Do you know, we were talking before because I said I wanted to bring up, they're probably going to add a pitcher before tonight.
Yes. They have 12 pitchers on the active roster right now.
Right. They sent Nick Raquet down.
On Monday. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Is Cade Povich, do we know between the three of us, it looks like he's pitching at Chesapeake right now.
So, yeah, he's definitely back. I thought he was with Norfolk.
I figured he was with Norfolk. I'll double check.
But I see 2 games with Chesapeake. Now, that might have been a precursor to going back to Norfolk.
Yeah, I think he was just rehabbing.
So I don't know how well he's pitching. At Chesapeake, he had 2 outings, and his ERA was 3.86. 7 innings, he had 7 strikeouts and 1 walk, and a 1 whip. Doesn't it sound like this would be the perfect time to have him sort of try out and be that Keegan Aiken replacement?
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense to me, unless they see him right now as like their sixth starter. Like, I don't know about their starting pitching depth at Norfolk.
And they're just waiting for an emergency? Or?
Yeah, and they might want him starting every fifth or sixth day still, because they're just not overloaded with starting pitching depth at this point. But I agree with you that I think I've seen what I have to see from him as a starter to want to look at him in the bullpen in a multi-inning relief role. I think he could be a pretty good multi-inning reliever following a right-handed starter.
Yeah, I think he could be good. And I don't think the danger of having him be a reliever is that great that he couldn't come back in a bulk way or not. But we are joined, I know our time is limited, with Evan Drellich, the writer for the baseball writer for The Athletic, one of their chief baseball writers. Evan, I really appreciate you joining us. You're also the author of that book called Winning Fixes Everything, about the Houston Astros and their victories and what they did to, to get to that point. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll get right to it. I wanted to talk about this. We're going to talk about the CBA, but I wanted to talk about this article you wrote, Fearing Olympics Participation Issues, MLB proposing stiff penalties for players who skip out. Is their ability to issue stiff penalties, would that be part of a new basic agreement, or do they have the right now in players' contracts to issue stiff fines for just not going wherever MLB tells them they got to go?
No, they do not have that right at this point. So this is all part of a negotiation. And to this point, it's probably better to consider it a separate negotiation.
Yeah.
Yes, MLB and the Players Union have started working on the next CBA. This is kind of a parallel negotiation. The timing of it could end up being that it gets kind of folded in, but it's kind of a parallel track. So even while they're figuring out all the other issues, they're working on, okay, what are the terms of player participation in the Olympics? And it's not just MLB and the union having this conversation. LA 28, which is the organizer of the Olympics, the Olympic Games in LA in 2028, they're in it. The IOC, the International Olympic Committee, they're part of it. To some degree, the WBSC, the World Baseball Softball Confederation, which oversees all the international bodies, they're a part of it. But it's really kind of this three-way negotiation where it's not only working out things like, is it going to be mandatory? They got to work out, hotels and tickets. And there's just a lot of different components of, if baseball players are going to play in these 28 Olympics, which everybody ultimately thinks will happen, what does it look like? How are they paid? Where do they stay? And is it indeed mandatory? And so to the question about what could MLB do right now, they can't make it mandatory. This has to be negotiated. And my expectation would be that the ultimate agreement that they reach probably doesn't look like what was first proposed. It's like what we see with the regular CBA negotiations. People make their initial proposals, and then over time, they're going to whittle it down to something that everybody could find acceptable.
Before we get into the CBA, I have one more question about this. Do you get this sense that players are excited about the Olympics having baseball? It seems like it seems like a tremendous interruption to a regular season.
I think, look, you could probably find a player in any circumstance who's going to have any wide range of perspective, right? I'm sure there's somebody who's looking at it and going, I don't want to do this in the middle of the season. But I think overall, guys realize, well, this is a cool, unique, special thing. It'd be good for the game to be able to have all the big leaguers in the Olympics, which has never happened before.
Yeah.
This is a novel thing to have major league players potentially be able to go to the Olympics. So the general consensus for everybody on the owner side and the player side is this is a good thing. The players don't love the idea that if you choose not to go, there is a stiff penalty that the league is proposing. And again, we'll see if that actually makes it into the final agreement that they presumably will make.
Luke, why don't you lead off with the CBA?
So, Evan, the first thing that came to mind when I saw that the schedule was released yesterday was, boy, that's an early start. And boy, that's an early end to the season. And part of me thought that also makes it easy to push 2 series back to the end of the year if labor negotiations linger, as they probably will, as they did the last negotiation. Is there anything to that? Am I being too cynical?
No, I don't think you're being too cynical. History tells us, if you look at the last lockout, if you remember, if they entered March on March 1st, 2022, they did not have a deal. And the commissioner, Rob Manfred, canceled the first 2 series of the season. And the implication at that time was these games are gone. They're not going to be rescheduled. Lo and behold, they reach a deal 9 days later, and they were able to still find a way to play a full 162. They just revised the schedule. So if that scenario comes to pass again, where kind of down to the wire, but they find a way to make a deal pretty close to the start of the season, you still have a shortened spring training. Yeah, I think the way that MLB constructed the schedule for 27, excuse me, sets up that possibility. The larger question is, are they even going to be close to a deal at that point? There's certainly a possibility that the negotiation is not far enough along, that the owners are still saying we want a salary cap, the players are still saying we don't want a salary cap, and then you're missing, who knows? Is it a month? Is it a couple weeks? Is it multiple months? I think one of the lessons of last time for me is everybody likes to find a way to play. Everybody likes to make money. The way you make money is you play the most games possible. And so I think there is a real chance that we do have a full or close to full 2027 season here. But yeah, where your mind went was exactly where my mind went with the early start to next year, which, by the way, the schedule for next year isn't that different than this year. Opening day it's basically a day earlier than it was this year. And it was already the earliest it had ever been this year. And they've got to accommodate the expanded postseason in the last few years. So it's not totally different than what we've seen in the past. But yeah, if they're getting close to a deal in late February, early March, I think you could see that schedule push back a little bit.
Evan, I'm already he's out of my mind. The guy who was fired from or resigned as the head of the Players Association. What was his name?
Tony Clark.
Tony Clark. He's been out of mind for me. Is Bruce Meyer, who's listed in your article as the head of the Players Association, has he been ratified as the head of the Players Association now, or is he the acting executive director or head of
he should. I typically, and it's possible I've forgotten one story, he's the interim head.
Okay.
The technical title for him is interim head. So the players have ratified him in that position, but in terms of a long-term stay,
right,
that'll get worked out down the road if he wants to stay and if they want him to stay.
So Meyer will be the one that's most likely directing this the whole way through, correct?
Yeah. So Bruce Meyer, even prior to Tony Clark's departure, was the lead negotiator for the players.
Okay.
So that he was leading that piece of it, and now he is in charge of the entire organization. But there's another top lawyer at the union as well, a guy named Matt Nussbaum, who's handling a lot of the day-to-day duties that Tony was handling. And so Bruce Meyer's at the top, but there's kind of a 1A figure in Matt Nussbaum.
Now, is Meyer supposed to be a real hard ass when it comes to negotiations, much more so than Tony Clark?
Tony Clark, his first negotiation did not give him a great reputation as far as a negotiator. The deal that the players struck in 2016 for the 2017-2021 CBA was not a particularly good deal for players. Tony was at the table more for that one. And so, Bruce Meyer was brought in to be a tough negotiator, and he has certainly been that.
Yeah.
And the owners, by the way, have a very tough negotiator in Dan Halem, who reports to the former top negotiator for the league, Rob Manfred, the commissioner.
Okay. Luke?
Evan, do the owners really want a hard salary cap, or is this more of a way to get what NBA owners have with the second apron, which is basically a cap without a cap?
I think they would love nothing more than to have a true hard salary cap. Whether they would ultimately end up being happy with greater restrictions on the current system without the formal hard cap, I don't think that's unreasonable to speculate that if the owners were to pivot off of a cap, that they'd say, okay, well, we don't need a cap, but we need, tighter CBT or tighter penalties, something that, achieves some of their spending limitation goals. But this is what they always want, right? In a way, this is a very old line of discussion. The management side has always wanted greater restrictions on spending. The player side always says, no, we want you to be able to spend as much as possible on our players. So everybody in a way is just kind of playing their role here.
Hey, Evan, can you give me some hope here? Like, it feels like there's a lot of the proposals we've heard from both sides have been very far apart.
We're all fantasy baseball players. We want hope.
That's right. So why should we be optimistic that there will be a deal done and we get a full season that starts on time next year?
I think when most people look at the state of the sport today, they feel like it's pretty good. Even Rob Manfred stands up there talking to the Baseball Writers Association of America reporters before the All-Star game, says, attendance is up, ratings are up, things are feeling pretty good. And when things are not terrible, it's harder to imagine everybody standing around going, it is worth billions in lost revenue that would come over a very lengthy work stoppage. The tricky part of this is that franchise values would go up in a notable way if owners got a salary cap. And baseball franchise values, well, I think for most people would still be considered quite healthy. It's not like they're not growing. It's not like they're not in the billions. They're not what they are in the NBA and the NFL. And so if the owners all get together and find this cohesion to say, you know what, it's worth some short-term pain to really make this thing more valuable, that's kind of the wild card here. But MLB has to negotiate new national TV deals starting for 2029, which means, that's a negotiation you're going to do 2028, maybe even have talks start sooner than that. If you miss a year, if you miss a really long time in 27, it's not just short-term damage. It could really be kind of over multiple years. You push fans away, people would be unhappy. So I think the incentives to have a really long work stoppage at this point, I don't really see them. But again, it might just depend on how owners look at that long-term question of, well, this would do a lot for our franchise values.
Cool. Would they be able to earn the trust back of fans, you think, if they were, if worst case scenario, we miss an entire season? Like,
one of the beauties of this business for owners is fandom and like literally the loyalty people, the public, consumers have for the product. And that's something that they might be able to kind of find comfort in and say, well, these guys will come back. They'll say they'll stay away for a little bit, but nobody really knows what the effect would be. There was an ugly stoppage in 94, 95, 232 days for that strike, took down a World Series. And, that strike started in August. It was at the end of the year. If you miss a month or two of April or May and then play a season and have a World Series, is the damage the same? But the entertainment environment is different now. You on your phone have unlimited options for alternative entertainment. You can go watch Netflix. You can go watch Peacock, whatever you want. And I think for baseball to disappear in this entertainment environment, even for a bit of time, is a big risk. And I think everybody has some cognizance of that. So, would fans come back? Some fans will say, I'm never coming back. And then 2 months later, they'll be back. Some fans will say, I'm never coming back. And, they might actually stay away. And it's just very hard to predict how much the damage would be. The one thing that's true, it's got to be proportional to an extent to how much time you miss.
Yeah.
If you miss a month, it's different than shutting down the sport for a year and canceling a World Series.
Evan, we've watched enough negotiations to know that at some point there's a pivot point. What are some of the other issues that MLB is interested in if they back off of the cap and collapse and say, all right, I'll tell you what, we'll back off the hard cap, but we want these working conditions? Are there other issues that you're cognizant of?
Well, I mean, you can even see a little bit of it in what's come up so far. For example, the international draft is something that MLB has wanted for a long time. And last time around 5 years ago, the players actually for the first time showed interest in the concept. They couldn't agree on the money. But you could do an international draft without a salary cap. You could potentially do major changes to revenue sharing, the way the teams share money between themselves, without a cap. A very important question here is how much could you do? So in this cap proposal, the league is saying we're going to newly share local TV money equally, meaning the Yankees, the Dodgers are all willing to put their huge local money into one pot and everybody shares it. My guess is they're not going to be willing to do that unless they get the benefits of the salary cap. But what could you do? Are there things that could be done in revenue sharing without a cap? And it's very hard to know exactly how far the owners would be willing to go outside of a cap system, because for now, they're not going to stand there and say, well, here's what we're willing to do with something other than what we're telling you we want.
Yeah.
And so that's, if we get to that point, it's really a next year conversation.
Luke's got one last one. We'll let you get out of here. Thank you, Evan.
Evan, who are the alphas among the owners who really drive this discussion? Because we always hear about the alphas among the MLB PA who drive the discussion. I never hear about the owners. Who are the alphas?
It used to be Reinsdorf, but he's kind of aging out.
Well, but he's still there.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good question, and I'm going to take a rain check on it for this reason. We have new figures here, right? We got Steve Cohen involved, David Rubenstein involved. We get, it's not the same collection of people that it's been in the past, and yet you still have Dick Monfort of the Rockies, who's the head of the labor committee. Hal Steinbrenner and the Yankees are always going to be influential. The Red Sox and John Henry are always going to be influential. The Ricketts with the Cubs. The big markets still have the power. But you have a group of owners, Ken Kendrick with the Diamondbacks, Artie Moreno with I guess I'm not taking a rain check, with the Angels, who over time have been kind of the smaller market hawks, although the Angels wouldn't be considered a smaller market, but who have been, I think, a particularly hard group. There's a group of owners who's been hard for Rob Manfred to corral. Bob Castellini, the Castellini family in Cincinnati. And the tricky thing here is Manfred, by the MLB Constitution, needs 75% of owners to ratify a new CBA. That's 23 votes. So what that means is if you have a group of 8 owners who are standing there and saying, we need a cap, and you got another 22 saying, let's just play some baseball.
Yeah.
You're kind of stuck. You got to flip one of those owners. And so a small group of owners, or relatively small group of owners, can have kind of an outsized influence on the whole thing. And I think there's some argument here that, one of the things Rob's got to do is make all of his owners happy to the extent he can. And I think there is power in saying, guys, look, I tried to get a cap. If they get to that point, if the players stay firm, which we're assuming they will, but who knows? It might be a feather in Rob's cap deal. Say, look, guys, I tried here.
Yeah.
I tried to deliver what you want. I couldn't quite do it. So, but who exactly ends up being the powerhouses? To some degree, we got to see what happens here. But Jerry's still kicking, man.
No question. But there's one thing. Rob is not planning to continue as commissioner beyond this, so he's not doing it to gain votes, so to speak.
Well,
at least that's what he says.
That's right. And there's no reason to not take him at his word, except there was the history with his predecessor, Bud Selig, where he said multiple times, I'm going to leave. Now he wants to come back. Right. There's Rob Manfred knows how to create leverage. And there's an argument that, if he wants to stay, he's creating a little leverage for himself. And if certainly the outcome of this CBA would be a big factor on whether the owners would say, Rob, please come back. And, maybe at that point he says, no, I really do just want to be on the golf course and with my grandkids. But what actually will happen there, nobody really knows except Rob Manfred.
All right. We promised to get you out at 11:55. I think we did it. Can we get you on in a couple months again?
Anytime, guys. Let me know.
Right. Thank you, Evan. Really appreciate it. Evan Drellich, baseball writer extraordinaire for the Athletic.com. We're going to take a timeout. When we get back, we'll talk a little O's, and we'll talk about this week in the rest of baseball on the Friday Baseball Show. This is Stan the Fan. You know we talk all the time about our O's stepping up in the big moments, delivering when it matters most. If you've been injured in a car accident anywhere around Baltimore, that's your big moment, and you need someone who delivers. That's why I'm here to tell you about Warnken Injury Lawyers. They fight for Baltimore families every single day. Insurance companies play games. Warnken plays to win. So call 443-RESULTS. That's 443-RESULTS, or go to warnkenlaw.com. When you need results, it's right there in the number, 443-RESULTS.
Your car is more than just a ride. It's an investment. At Leading Edge Auto Body in Mount Washington, we've spent over 20 years perfecting the art of repair. From high-end imports to your trusted daily driver, we handle all makes and models with elite precision. Our team holds the highest honors in the industry, including ASE Master, iCar Platinum, and specialized aluminum certifications. We make it easy with free towing, pickup, and delivery, because at Leading Edge, customer satisfaction comes first. And remember, with insurance, it's your car and it's your choice. Choose the experts. Leading Edge Auto Body. Quality you can see. Service you can trust. Go to leadingedgeautobody.com today.
When you feel invisible, exhausted, stressed, or anxious, when you have days that just feel too hard to get through, you are not alone. If you or someone you love is struggling with mental health or problems with drugs or alcohol, help is right in your hands. Call or text 988 to get support whenever you need it. Help is here. Call or text 988. Brought to you by Maryland Department of Health.
The stars are shining brighter at Live Casino this summer. Celebrate America's 250th with $1 million. Earn entries daily July 1st through August 29th and snap a pic with our game board for a chance to win $100 in free play every week. We'll draw 50 free play winners each Saturday and $1 million winner on August 29th. Light it up at Live Casino. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now. On the cover, Dave LaMonaco profiles Orioles play-by-play voice Kevin Brown, looking at his rise as an amiable mainstay and one of the top voices in all of baseball. Also inside, Antonio Barbera looks at whether the championship window is narrowing for the Ravens veteran core, and our special travel section with a look at sports tourism options throughout Maryland for you and your family to enjoy this summer. PressBox is available for free at over 250 locations throughout the region, including your Baltimore area High's Dairy stores. Plus, you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps.
Hi, my name's Colton Cowser, outfitter for the Baltimore Orioles, and you're listening to Griffin Bass, Stan the Fan Charles, on the Baseball Show. Let's keep it moving along.
Thank you, Colton. Thank you. Stan the Fan, Griffin Bass, and our special guest in studio today, Luke Jackson. We've got a little bit of a change. A curveball was thrown our way. We attempted to get Todd Kalas on of the Houston Astros broadcasting team, and he got back to us now that he's going to be able to join us in about 15 minutes. So we'll talk a little O's, and then we'll get into
the
this
Astros.
weekend. We'll get into the Astros, and then a little this week in the rest of baseball. Luke, I asked you before Evan Drellich interrupted us whether you were excited or interested about the O's. What do you think their realistic chances are to make a run at the playoffs?
Well, I think their chances took a little bit of a hit when Blaze Alexander broke his hand 30 minutes before the break. That's we were talking about this on our show. It's sort of emblematic of how the last couple calendar years have gone. IAS, it's always something.
Yeah.
Very much so. So can they make a run? I think because of the state of their rotation, I think they have a chance to make a run ahead of the deadline because not only that, but they're playing teams that are ahead of them in the wild card hunt. So they've got a chance to make up some ground. As you've mentioned, one of the real problems that they have is not only have they not played great this year, but they've got so many teams that they have to jump. But because of their rotation, they've gotten competitive starts pretty much every night for the past 4, 5, 6 weeks outside of the Trey Gibson starts, and he's not in the rotation anymore. So
Right.
I think that gives you some hope. A couple other things that would give you some hope is that I do think that they should hit better than they have rest of season compared to the season up to this point. And then the other thing is that they've not been very fortunate in close games. What are they, like 7-14 in one-run games? So if that stabilizes, I think they've got a chance to maybe make a little bit of a run.
So we're
those are the positives.
Yeah, we're 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away from the trade deadline. So if you're Mike Elias, forget who we're shopping or who we'd be willing to give up. What are you, if he wants to buy, what is he trying to buy? Does he want one more starter, or is that too many right now at this point in the season? Or should he be looking for somebody that can pick up some innings if there is another injury?
Yeah, that's a good question. So first of all, you look at what kind of ammo do they have in the minor league system to get what they would need. And I would guess that because
got Vance Honeycutt.
There you go. It's a middling farm system, but everyone's got the ammo to get rentals. As you might not have the ammo you want to get controllable pieces.
Yeah.
But everyone's got the ammo to get rentals. And so would you look for another piece for the rotation? Would you, at this point, look for someone who could play third base? Would you
or
look for
or a utility infielder?
Yeah, who can sort of make up for what Blaze provided versatility-wise? And do you want a couple power arms for the bullpen? Again, more rental pieces. I think that they would have the piece. The other thing is that they do have a number of prospects who are going to be Rule 5 eligible, and they're going to have to make decisions on those guys at some point ahead of the Rule 5 draft. And what some teams will do is that they'll package them at the trade deadline so they don't have to worry about them ahead of the Rule 5 draft, but they get something for them. So they have a number of those guys. They got like 7 or 8 guys that they'll have to make decisions on, 40-man roster decisions on at some point, and they might want to package those guys in deals right now for big league help. So, but
that's a good point.
But a lot of this can change in the next 2 weeks. Like I said, it's a 2-week sprint to the deadline, Griffin, and we could be having a much different conversation a couple weeks from now than we are right now, because we're looking at it right now. I think it's irresponsible. It would be irresponsible to sell when you're only 2 games out, even if you don't think they're any good.
What if this is exactly where they're at? They're still 2 games out. They're
I
still
think
3, 4 games under 500.
I think they would buy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What if Detroit and Boston and Seattle and those, they come out guns a-blazing out of the break here, and
you fall and then suddenly you're like 5 or 6 out, then you would sell. Okay. So I think it really does sort of come down to
whatever
how
else
you play the next 10 days.
Yeah, I mean it's wild, but this is where small sample sizes really matter, and it could be a bit of a different picture that we're looking at right now if they were better in those close games. If they're 14-7 in one-run games rather than 7-14, this is a wildly different conversation that we're having.
They've got 12 games between, the next 14 days. They've got 3 in Houston, 3 in Boston. They come home versus Atlanta, then 3 in Detroit. Those 12 games should probably decide whether you're a buyer or a seller.
And 3 of those series are against teams that you're directly competing against for a wild card spot.
So let me ask my $64,000 question, and that is the Trevor Rogers question. Okay. You know how I've written about it 3 or 4 times. I think they made a big mistake not being aggressive at the end of last year, trying to lock him up for 3 or 4 years. Now, his agent might have wanted 6 years. I don't know. I don't get the sense they've discussed it with him much. Are you interested in trading him if you are selling?
Well, I think, First thing you would have to determine is whether you would give him a qualifying offer. And if you are, and you do want to sell him at that point, what you get back has to be better than the comp pick you would get if you were to tender him a qualifying offer and he signs elsewhere. So that it would have to be a better package than the number 30-something overall pick.
I'm assuming he's got terrific value.
At least as a rental.
Yeah.
As someone who has pitched pretty well for the past 6 weeks, very well for the past 6 weeks, as a matter of fact. And obviously around the illness that he had the first few starts before that, and then the last few starts after that.
Yeah.
The giving up a lot of runs bug.
Yes. Yes. That one. Like, since getting over that, he's been great, and his velocity's back. And with Trevor, it's really about, like, is he 94 to 95 or is he 89 to 91? Like, those are two totally different pitchers. But anyway, if he still shows in these next few starts ahead of the deadline that he's that 94, 95 guy, he'd be a pretty valuable piece for
but he'd be a pretty valuable piece for us.
Yeah, but
moving forward.
But I mean, you could.
But why haven't they? I know, why haven't they been able to lock him down then?
But you could potentially trade him and then say, "Hey, we're going to go after you in the offseason." You could do that. Like, that's possible. There's no rule against that.
Yeah.
So
because he says he'd like to be here.
Yeah.
The problem you have is then he's pitching for the Atlanta Braves for 2 months,
and he loves pitching for the Atlanta Braves.
And they love him, and all of a sudden you're out and you're back hunting for skirt.
No, that part you're absolutely right about. That if you let go of Trevor Rogers and don't re-sign him, then you're probably looking for a left-handed starter just like Trevor Rogers.
Right. Exactly.
And so, like,
and you've already given up Kyle Stowers.
Correct. And I look at what left-handed starters have gotten in the free agency the past number of years. Like, what Kikuchi got, like 354, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Sean Manaea got like 375. Would it be in that area, or would it be more like?
Probably think so, right?
Or would it be more like a 4 or 5 year deal?
I think he's a 4-year deal with an option.
So, like, for me would be like
480. I think he's like an $85 million guy.
So 485.
Yeah.
Is it possible they could get a deal like that, an extension done in the next 2 weeks, or no? Is that just kind
if
of
they
out the
offered
window?
him 4 years, $85 million? Do you think he would take it right now?
So it'd be 21, 22 a year or something about.
Yeah. I think he would take it.
What's the qualifying offer is going to be about?
I think it's got,
22,
and I think it's got to have an option in it. That's sort of a mutual option with a buyout of like $10 million.
So what Griffin just suggested was basically the qualifying offer times 4.
Right.
Yeah.
He's 28 now.
So
you have him for your
qualifying
29,
offer
30,
would
and
be
31 season.
90.
If it's 22, yeah.
And I'm suggesting that there's $10 million there or $7.5 million at the end, which ups the average that he's guaranteed to get, whether he's here or not.
And that goes back to the point, I guess, like, do they really believe in him?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Because if they did, they probably should have been aggressive locking him up last year.
Right.
Which they weren't.
They clearly weren't.
Yeah.
aggressive.
And so I don't know if they really believed in what they were seeing last year. And like you had
and
said.
I think it's realistic not to have believed that guy was going to be, but
I didn't believe the 6.5 ERA guy
I didn't
either.
believe it either. Yeah.
So.
I didn't believe it either. Yeah. Okay. Did we hear from
what about
Todd?
We'll talk to Todd in 5 minutes.
Okay.
What about Adley if they tank here in the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I would be open to discussing him.
Is it critical that they deal him now?
It's tricky to deal catchers at the deadline because teams like to onboard catchers in spring training with that 6-week run up to the season.
To
get to know the pitching staff and all that good stuff.
Would you trade him to the New York Yankees?
It depends what I'm getting back.
Yeah.
Cody Bellinger.
There you go.
No, if I'm
Add
getting
some left-handed pop.
If I'm getting Carlos Lagrange and something, like 2 arms,
maybe $200 million in spending.
And I do think that Adley would be a very valuable commodity on the trade market. I mean, it's hard to find catchers or plus defenders and hit in like the high 700 OPSs.
The interesting team to me, because of who the executive is the Giants. even though they're not buying for this year. You remember I wrote last year that I thought the Orioles should trade for Dustin May at the deadline. Not that he was going to help them last year. He was going to help them next year. The Giants are kind of they're in a woeful position right now. And I got to believe Posey is a big Rutschman fan.
Probably is. It probably is. I think Adley is defending this year better than he ever has. I think he's throwing better than he ever has. And his defensive metrics back it up. I mean, guy's been one of like the 5 or 6 most valuable catchers in baseball this year. You wouldn't know it, but he has. Now on the flip side, though, if you are looking to extend him, like what is he looking for? Like Ken Rosenthal wrote a piece saying that at this point, if the Orioles want to sign Adley, and Mike Elias indicated that they do, that it would take like an 8-year deal.
What
to make him Cal Raleigh got 6,105 with 2 years before free agency, and like, are you
6 is my max?
Yeah, it's like, are you interested in seeing like what Adley looks like at age 33, 34, 35?
Not really.
I'm not.
No.
I mean, like, what's like if he's JT Realmuto? Like, are we happy with that? Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. This year's Realmuto's not having a good year. What did he do last year? He
didn't have a good year either. But the Phillies re-signed him because they didn't have any other options at catcher. They gave him a 3-year deal.
Yeah,
they had nobody else to catch.
Yeah,
it's hard to find catching.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, can he keep this up? If he can keep this up defensively,
right?
Then,
I mean, the Orioles having
two
catchers who can really hit should be a massive advantage.
Yeah.
Hasn't looked like it this year, but should be a massive advantage.
Yeah. All right, we're talking with Luke Jackson, and Griffin Bass is here with me, Stan the Fan. We've got Todd Kalas coming up momentarily. He's one of the voices of the Houston Astros broadcast team. They were red hot.
One more for Luke. What if they are right in the thick of it in 2 weeks, and what do you do with Taylor Ward?
Oh, I guess you hold on to him and hope he has a big final 2 months, and then you can give him a qualifying offer. I haven't been a huge fan of what I've seen. I joke around with Stan.
I was early, but
I joke around with Stan that he seems like a little bit of a low energy ball player. Like, I don't know if I've seen him emote.
If there's a market for him, even if they're in it, do you trade him anyway? Or
no? I mean, you do need, like, if
we're in it, he's not going to go anywhere.
Right, right. And I would think that at that point, if you're in it, that you hope that he has a big final 2 months to help you out in that regard, and then also you give him a qualifying offer if he has a big final couple months. I don't think you would give him a qualifying offer right now.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe you would. They certainly, I think, acquired him with the idea that they would do that.
Do you know what his QO would look like? Or
you mean a deal extending him?
For a qualifying offer for Ward.
Oh, it'd be like
23 million dollars. But
and maybe he would take that. I don't know.
I think he would take that, because I don't think he's getting that on the market.
That would be the most that he would ever make in a season.
Yeah, no question about it. No question about it. I'm trying to think of something else. The Orioles will play the Astros tonight. Who's pitching tonight for the Orioles?
Kramer. I don't know who's pitching for the Astros.
You see any possibility of Kramer going at the deadline?
Ooh, we'll talk about that after.
Okay.
Pete Lambert's pitching tonight for Houston.
So it's Lambert versus Kramer.
Yes.
It's not Kramer versus Kramer.
No.
Not Kramer versus Newman.
All right. Joining us now is, I know it's not Mike Florio.
Trust your gut, Stan. You don't pay attention to what I'm doing.
I know it's Todd Kalas is joining us in just a second. Todd, whose dad, the late great Harry Kalas, was the play-by-play voice of the Houston Astros for the Philadelphia Phillies, like forever. And we miss Harry's voice, and I'm sure Todd Kalas misses him more than his voice. All right, we've got Todd Kalas with us now. Todd, thank you very much for taking some time out for us. First of all, your dad was one of the great voices, play-by-play voices of all time. No question about it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Miss them all every day, and when the All-Star game's in Philly, think about them even more in those situations.
Yeah. Do you get, when you travel around, do you get that a lot from people?
Decent amount. Yeah. Most guys, who've been in the game for a little while remember Dad as a broadcaster for many years. So, yeah, I do get that quite a bit, and especially whenever we go back to Philadelphia or NL East cities in particular.
All right. Tell us about the Houston Astros 2026. It's been like a tale of two seasons in the first half. Tell us what went wrong early and what's gone right up until maybe the last week or 10 days. I think you've middled off again. But tell us a little bit about the season.
Yeah, got off to a slow start. Part of that was injury related. They lost 3 starters on one road trip, so that was kind of tough. And one of the guys that replaced one of the 3 injured starters on the same trip got hurt as well. So technically 4 starters in a 3-city trip at the beginning of the year. So that's tough to come back from. So they got off to a rough start. They were out okay. They had a good first homestand, then went 1-9 on that road trip with the 3 starters going down, and never really recovered for a while. But they were kind of lingering between 6 and 11 games under. And then most recently, they have played better baseball really since the beginning of June. And now they're 4 games under heading into the post-All-Star break second half.
Todd, tell me about this guy, Jordan Alvarez. I mean,
he's pretty good last time I saw him.
How should the Orioles plan to attack him this weekend? Is there a way, or is it just going to be prayer?
I mean, we saw in that last series against the Rangers where they started to just walk him in every situation, like intentionally walk him to put the winning run on second base kind of thing, and walked him with 2 outs and nobody on late in the game. I think we're going to see a lot more intentional walks as the year goes along, because this guy, not only is he the best hitter in the game right now, he's by far the best hitter in this lineup. So teams are starting to not want Jordan to hurt them, and we're seeing a lot more caution around Jordan when they pitch to him. But it's really, if you look at his splits in his career, lefties don't get him out, righties don't get him out. He's equal opportunity against both lefties and righties. And he's not just a power hitter. He's a guy who can hit for average. He'll take his walks, even regular walks, not just intentional walks. He'll take his walks. He's just a really elite hitter.
Todd, tell me a little bit about Hunter Brown. His numbers have not been great since he's come back, but do you see the trend being a little bit better now?
Hopefully when you see him on Sunday, he's back to the guy we saw in 2025 for Astros fans, because it just really hasn't been there. His command has been off his last few starts. So to his credit, he's been able to grind. And last start, he got through 6 innings and only gave up 3 runs. So he did get up. He did get a quality start despite not having his good stuff. But yeah, we haven't really seen the Hunter Brown that finished in the top 3 in Cy Young voting so far this year. And a version of that guy or close to that guy needs to show up for the Astros to have a chance.
We're hoping it waits until after Sunday.
I hear you.
Luke, go ahead.
So one guy that Orioles fans have been very familiar with for a while, because the team drafted him all the way back in 2012, is Christian Walker. And he had a slow year last year, if I remember correctly. Feels like he's bounced back some. What have you seen from him this year?
Yeah, got off to a really, really good start. He was, along with Jordan, kind of carrying the team for the first 2 months of the year. Has kind of cooled off in the last month and a half. But he's still playing really good defense, picks everything over first base. His defense last year, I felt like, took a step back after winning 3 straight Gold Gloves as a Diamondback. But this year, he is definitely a contender to win a Gold Glove again. And then, lately, just a few more strikeouts than he had earlier in the season. But he's still got a lot of pop. He's still on pace for 30-plus and 100 RBI. So having a really good year. He and Isaac Paredes and Jordan Alvarez have been the key contributors in the middle of the lineup, with Jeremy Pena kind of kicking things off at the top of the lineup.
Tonight, you guys are going to face Dean Kramer. We're facing Peter Lambert. Tell us a little bit about him. He's had a terrific season for the Astros.
Yeah, he's been, the most pleasant surprise in that starting rotation, and really he's been their best starter, most consistent starter from day one until the All-Star break. Guy who was with the Rockies early in his career and then went to Japan last year and kind of resurrected himself and came back, signed a minor league deal with the Astros. didn't make the team out of spring training and actually had an out clause, but elected to stay with the team, which has been huge because I don't know where they'd be without Lambert. Very good pitcher in terms of attacking the zone. He's kind of fearless. He feels like the second lease on life has allowed him to go after hitters more. And plus, he's not pitching in Colorado, so that kind of helps as well. Reverse splits guy, so he'll be much better against lefties than he has been against righties this year. I've been curious to see teams still stack their lineups with lefties. Curious to see what the Orioles do tonight, but he is very, very good against left-hand hitters.
Luke, I've got one for you, Todd. There's been all these rumors when Alex Cora got fired that the Phillies wanted to hire him. Well, that job looks like it's not going to happen because Don Mattingly's done such a good job. Then there's talk that the Mets could be interested in him. I'm looking for another team that could be sort of interested in him. Give me your assessment of Espada's tenure with the Astros, how firm he is being there, and whether they would have any interest in reuniting with Alex Cora.
Yeah, I think Cora's probably going to get wooed by a team that's going to be willing to spend more money than what the Astros are if Joe Espada's not here in the future.
Okay.
But Joe is a guy who's done a real nice job. I think, he has dealt with some injuries throughout his tenure. But the bottom line is when he and Dana Brown kind of took over, and Dana was the GM who hired Joe, but when Dana took over and then hired Joe, they knew that the bar was set high. And that bar was 7 consecutive trips to the American League Championship Series. And that first year, they got to the playoffs, but lost to Detroit in the first round. Last year was the first year they didn't make the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. And now, if they don't finish 500 this year, it'll be the first time in 9 years that has happened. So I think Joe has to at least be in the mix late in the season. He has to at least have his team at 500 or better. Jim Crane, the owner, is not a guy who's going to stand around and wait for things to get better. He's going to act quickly. And if Joe does not get this team turned around, then his spot would certainly be in jeopardy.
Todd, how do you see the second half in the NL West playing out? If the Astros have Yordan Alvarez, and he could certainly buoy them as far as possible, but who do you think is going to emerge out of this group right now?
Yeah, it's wide open. The whole American League's wide open, which is other than the Angels and the Royals and maybe the A's who fell off towards the end prior to the All-Star break. I think everybody else feels like they have a shot. So kind of an important homestand coming out of the break with the Orioles kind of in the same position that the Astros are, and then the Marlins, who've been a surprise team in the National League, are next. And then you go on the road against the White Sox, who have probably been the surprise team in the American League, and then the Angels. So if you go through those 2 weeks and you're still pretty much in the mix within 5 games of 500, then I think the Astros certainly are going to be players in the trade deadline to try and improve. But yeah, AL West is up for grabs. I think if you win 85 games this year, you've got a great shot to win it.
One last question for you, Todd. You have a question, Luke?
Yeah, I do have a question.
All right, we've got 2 questions for you. Go ahead, Luke.
So another player that local fans would be familiar with is Lamont Wade Jr. From the University of Maryland. And he hit a grand slam, I think, a couple days before the All-Star break started. And I thought to myself, man, Lamont Wade's still cashing checks. Good for him. What kind of impact has he made on the Astros?
Yeah, they've been looking for a left-hand hitting outfielder, and they were able to find Lamont Wade Jr. And he's done a nice job. Another guy who might be, that second opportunity in the big leagues after spending all those years with the Giants. But yeah, a guy who grew up in Maryland and went to University of Maryland, and so far so good. I want to say he's had between 10 and 15 games played as an Astro so far, so it's not a huge sample size. But as they continue to look for help at the trade deadline with a left-hand hitting outfielder, Lamont Wade Jr. might be their guy if they don't make a deal. And he'll definitely be in the lineup from this point forward unless something changes with a trade or something like that. But yeah, he's been a nice addition for them so far.
Todd, I've got one last question. It involves 2 pitchers, so it's 2 questions. Brian Abreu, he's been like a sort of a force in that bullpen. This year has been a kind of a down season for him. Am I right in saying that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's been lights out for 3 years, probably as good as any reliever in baseball for the last 3 seasons. But this year He got off to a slow start. His best outings have been his last 4 or 5 outings right before the break, where we started to see the velocity come back to where it was close to last year. And we're starting to see him throw strikes, which has been a big problem at times this year. But yeah, Abreu really struggled early in the year with his command and got him in a lot of trouble.
And the last question I have is the acquisition of Mike Burrows. He was really, I looked at his peripherals and his numbers, and I thought he was really going to have a breakout season this year, and nothing seemed to go right for him.
No, you and Dana Brown both were expecting big things.
Yeah.
And there still could be some big things coming from Mike Burrows before the end of the season. But at this point, he's on the injured list. They're hoping to see him start throwing in a week or so. And then maybe August, September, Burrows comes back and makes an impact on the team. But coming out of spring training, I really thought that behind Hunter Brown, Burrows would be the number 2 starter.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't worked out that way. The fastball's been getting hit. He's been getting into bad leverage counts. And hopefully he gets things turned around. He's still got a bright future, but this year's been a tough one for him.
All right. Todd, thank you for hopping on with us and giving us a few minutes of your time. Really appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
All right.
You got it anytime.
There's one of the play-by-play voices of the Houston Astros, Todd Kalas. We appreciate him joining us again tonight. First game of the series, Dean Kramer versus Peter Lambert, and we do know that Hunter Brown is pitching for them on Sunday.
Do we have a Saturday starter? I don't know.
Do we have a Saturday starter?
Yeah.
Can you give us
for
the
us or
the matchup?
we got Kramer versus Lambert tonight.
Yep.
Tomorrow should be Trevor Rogers versus Arrighetti, and then Bradish Brown on Sunday.
Oh, that's a good matchup.
That's a really good matchup.
If Brown is on.
And Arrighetti hasn't been as good this year as he was
not
last.
No,
Well,
he's had some good.
He was very good when
Yeah.
the beginning of the season.
That's
when
what it
they
was.
brought him up. He started the season in the minor leagues.
Oh.
Then they brought him up
He was
when
bad
they
last
lost.
year, right? He struggled last year.
He's,
I thought
yes, he was
oh,
injured
yeah.
last year.
Maybe I was thinking 2
I had
years
him
ago.
on my.
I don't know. Yeah.
I had him on my fantasy.
That's
team.
why.
Yeah.
And then you got rid of him, and now he's
Got rid of him,
And now
he
he's
was great
he's
this
a big league pitcher.
Yeah, he's a big. Now he's been awful the last month or so. Let's take a look at this week in the rest of baseball.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
This week in the rest of baseball.
You just love that song, don't you, Stan? From our friends at Cruise Maryland.
Yeah, I love it. I love
that song.
Cynthia Berman.
She was dancing. Stan was
great.
dancing. Stan was dancing coming in here. Yeah, it was another week of baseball. I mean, there was baseball played. Yeah. Since I guess there's been a lot of baseball played since we last talked. But this week, over the last 7 days, not necessarily a ton, but it was the All-Star Week festivities. And I guess we'll start on Monday, the old home run derby. Stan, I know you're a big home run derby guy, right, Stan?
Yeah, love it. I can't get me enough of
Jordan
home run
Walker
derby.
won in a pretty dramatic fashion, defeating Kyle Schwarber. I guess I'm not. I was gonna say, how do we like the new format? As they change.
I
the
love
format.
the new format.
You do? Okay.
I love not having the clock. I always felt the rush, and I thought that was kind of BS.
Yeah, and I thought that the hitters were exhausted by the end of the first round in the previous format.
Yeah.
It's still I guess clearly Jordan Walker proved that wrong. But yeah, I for some reason it felt like maybe it was just
still.
'cause the
I'm
way
sure
they
it's
were
still
talking.
tiring.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And frankly, I think at this point that the home run derby is a better event than the actual All-Star game.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's definitely more people
I mean,
talking
Stan was
about
talking
it.
about it.
That's a sad comment.
I mean, number one, like this year.
How do they make the All-Star game matter again? I mean, how do they make it?
Well, it's not that it matters. It's the pitchers now.
Are just
it's
so
like
good?
they're so good for one inning,
Right.
That it's just.
And the other thing is that you don't even get to see the pitchers who you really want to see. Like by the third inning, I was watching a St. Louis Cardinals reliever who I think I'm a pretty big baseball fan. I never heard of that guy.
You never heard of Riley O'Brien?
I never heard.
He's having a great year.
Apparently,
Yeah.
but
then he tried to kill Junior Caminero.
Yeah, I know.
Is he? How badly was he hurt?
They said the X-rays were negative. I'm gonna see. If
Well, I
he,
know
see
the
if
X-rays
he's
were
in
negative.
there.
I'm
They're
sure
playing
he's
in an
sore,
hour, so
but-
he
oh,
might
they
be
play
in
in
the-
an hour?
Yeah, he might be in the lineup. Let me see.
Why did they play
Oh,
so
they
early?
play. They
They,
play
uh,
a doubleheader.
Oh, okay.
Tampa and
I
Boston
thought it
have
was
a
because of
doubleheader.
the fires, but it's a doubleheader.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader. Let me see
Day-night
how. Let me see how
doubleheader.
that update. Oh, he's batting third, so I guess he's
Good.
okay.
Healthy enough to go.
Good.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible.
Yeah, I thought I was.
And
That's
watching
what
it.
I hate about the concept. I hate the concept of the Olympics in the middle of the season, because suppose you're like the Yankees and Aaron Judge gets hurt in the Olympics. You really care about the Olympics? You're going to be pissed at the Olympics.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Yankees will, but if Harper and Judge and these all the big names are all they are lobbying straight up that they want to be in the Olympics, and that it would mean a lot to them to represent the country.
Harper's
and,
having a
you
nice
know.
season now. In 2028, I'm not so sure he's going to be that relevant.
In the words of Dave Dombrowski, is he still going to be elite
Yeah.
in 2028?
He's been elite this year.
Been
Close to elite.
Well, I mean, I did. I think I enjoyed the Derby as well. Buster Olney pointed out that over the last 5 years, the average number of homers was with the clock when they were doing the time thing was 275 total home runs hit.
Yeah.
Monday night they only hit 131.
Did
total.
you see MLB try to say that they don't juice the balls for the Derby? Did you see that?
They should. If they don't, they should.
I thought that was funny. Of course they juice the balls for the Derby.
Did we like Netflix? They got the Derby again.
I could do with that. I could do without it.
I kind of liked it.
Did you like what we had? Barry, we had Albert Pujols. Was it Rizzo? Who else was on there?
I'm always just going to be
You miss
nostalgic
Berman?
about Berman and Joe Morgan.
Yeah.
Anyway, and nothing is as good as that.
Another topic I saw going around this week was, does MLB have the best all-star of, like, the major sports, the best all-star game / week kind of festivities?
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I still think baseball is the best. It's just that the game itself
is not
a
necessarily
snooze now.
Right.
There's too many strikeouts.
But the Derby is the best, is the pinnacle of all Pro Bowl / three-point contests.
And even the game itself, baseball is definitely the easiest game to play at like 75%.
Yeah.
To ensure that you don't get hurt, but still put on a decent show.
Yeah.
Although
Which
at
is
this
weird,
point,
'cause
at this
basketball
point,
you
the
could
show
argue
isn't
that.
very good anymore in the game. And like Buster Olney was talking about this, that during the game in Philly, by the 7th or 8th inning, about a third of the crowd had left.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because there was really nothing to watch at that point.
Yeah.
Like
people didn't want to watch Drew Rasmussen play
Yeah.
throw pitch to
I
Adley.
thought
Brian
that
Baker
I
closed out
thought
the
that
game for one out.
I thought that was really cool. That
I did.
Drew
I was-
Rasmussen pitched to his college teammate Adley Rutschman. I'm sure Adley got a kick out of that.
I mean, the MLB's got to keep having Adley. Whenever Adley goes to the All-Star game, it seems like something pretty. He hits home runs from both sides of the plate
Yeah.
in the Derby, and then it feels like, I mean, as Stan said, it was a very boring game, and because it was 4-0, pitching just dominated. The two highlights.
I wrote before the game that it's a snooze fest now.
Well, you were right. The two highlights were Junior Cameron getting hurt, and then because that would have been the topic if he had broken a hand or something, and then would have been missed the rest of the season, and then also Adley catching and for both Drew Rasmussen and Brian Baker.
So here's the question, though. As much as we poo-poo it, it would be exciting to have the festivities here in Baltimore.
Yes, for sure.
Do we feel that there's a chance? We know it's in Wrigley Field next year. Is there a chance we get it in 28, 29, or 30?
Hopefully,
Rob Manfred was asked
ahead.
about that.
Yeah.
And he said that any team vying for the All-Star game might get pushed back because of the Olympics in 28.
So there
You
would
mean
be
there
no
might not-
All-Star
there
game.
So there wouldn't be an All-Star break in that case.
So it would be
I
29 or 30.
I thought they were considering saying they do it in San Francisco, because is that where the Olympic
Olympics
Games
are in L.A.
Yeah, but
I thought
where
I
they
read
playing
that
the
there
baseball?
would be
Where
an
they playing?
All-Star game.
I thought so
it would
too.
just be abbreviated.
And that they would do it in San Francisco.
I'm just telling you what Rob said.
Okay. Where do we know where the Olympic Games, the Olympic baseball games, are going to be played? Whether
They'd
it's
probably
amateurs
put-
or whoever.
I would guess they'd be played at the Dodger
Stadium and Angel Stadium, right?
Yeah.
But even if if they're
And
in
San
season,
Diego.
Yeah.
I guess. Okay. All right. Well, then I don't know. I saw.
I mean,
I
there
saw.
aren't
It looked like they were saying they made it sound like it was going to be at Oracle and it's not Oracle.
Maybe
What is San
there
Francisco
aren't that
called?
many.
And
Olympic
28
baseball teams. How many
right.
Olympic baseball teams are going to be? Like six?
Yeah, 6.
So what? Like,
but if the
probably-
U.S. plays, then but yeah, you're right because that's
So
still going to be
Japan,
25 players.
Japan,
Korea.
I think
Korea,
Mexico also qualified,
Mexico.
and then there's 3 teams that still need to qualify.
Dominican,
Venezuela, and
John
the
said they're
US.
playing.
yeah.
John, they're playing at Dodger Stadium. John, is that what you said? All right.
okay.
So then maybe
John knows.
I don't know.
John knows everything.
Well,
we know it's.
We don't know.
We know it's next
don't know
year.
anything.
We know it's next
Yeah,
year.
Wrigley.
At, Wrigley.
That was
Field.
my next point. The 2027 schedule is out. 97th All-Star Game will be at Wrigley Field next year in Chicago, I guess, assuming there's baseball.
Right.
Derby will be on Netflix again, so everyone prepare for that. And yeah, as Luke pointed out, we talked about it with Evan Drellich, but yeah, I mean it's an early start to the season, a little bit of an early end as well. Is that them foreshadowing or just being diligent? I don't know.
One of the things that I would have asked Evan if we had him on for long, and we could have talked to him for
I
like
know,
an
yeah,
hour.
it felt like that.
I mean, really. And Stan was asking him about, well, what are some of the finer points that the players and owners would like to get at? And one of the things, if I were the players, that I would fight for, the problem is that if you fight for anything, you have to give something.
Yeah, you have to concede.
You have to concede something. But like, if I were a player, one of the things that would really bother me, like anytime you play a midweek series in Atlanta, they always pull that 7:15 getaway game stuff where you're getting into your next stop at like 3 or 4 in the morning, and then you've got a game the next day. Like, I would fight for like universal day game getaways.
Yeah.
That and that's just me. Like, sometimes
Is Atlanta the culprit?
Well, I already
Atlanta is one of the primary culprits who pulls that all the time. And I think the CBA rule is that you can do that as long as the departing team is only going like one time zone away, one or no time zones away. But I would just try to.
Doesn't New York? I feel like the Yankees do it as
the
well.
Yankees
Yeah.
pull it.
At
The Red
least
Sox
move
pull
it
it
to like 4 o'clock or something.
So the one thing when I was just spanning over the schedule, I always look for when the West Coast road trip is, and so it's rather favorable. Oh, they have 2 West Coast road trips actually.
Right.
Oh wow, is that July? Oh, and May. So they have 3. Oh my gosh. Well, the one, but in their April one, they are playing. They got a wraparound series against Anaheim, so they play on Monday against Anaheim in Camden Yards, and then on Tuesday they have to go to San Francisco. So is that Monday game gonna be?
That's gonna be like a noon start, 12:35 start.
Is it? Will it?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I mean, it better. I mean, it
think,
better be.
That I think is in the CBA that when you're traveling that far, that it's
got to be
a day game.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The other 2 road trips, they do have an off day the day before. So,
But you're right. I'm looking at this right now.
A lot of questions coming from Griffin on this week and the rest of baseball.
Well, this
is
should be a discussion. Isn't it a discussion? Well, there wasn't baseball play
But
this week.
I
so
will
that's why.
say that I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Now
don't
I
know.
understand it.
I don't know how much I should pay attention to that March-April schedule at this point, though.
Yeah.
But you're right that if that schedule remains intact, that's a brutal trip to San Francisco without a day off in between.
Yeah.
All right.
While we're talking All-Star break stuff, Mookie Betts was not in the All-Star game, but he was trying to solve baseball and make baseball better, as he did an interview, and came up with a new rule he'd like to implement to speed up certain games. Once they get to the point where a position player is pitching, so it's 6 runs now, or 8,
Okay.
10 runs,
Yep,
whatever,
yep.
and you're about to put a position
Right.
player, just call the game.
Oh. But
Does it have to be in a certain inning? What if it happens in
Well,
the
I mean,
third inning?
if you get to the point where I'm ready to have Jorge Mateo start pitching, then
But your customers paid for 9 innings.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
I think you're right. Quickly
So
on
wait
the
a minute.
schedule.
and also TV paid for 9 innings as well.
Should Mookie make less money in that game?
Yeah.
In other words,
Good
if
question.
he makes
Good question.
like,
I'll call Mookie.
if
and
he
I'll see
makes
what,
$75,000 a game, how much does Mookie make?
He might make more
He
than
probably
70.
makes not $1 million, but he's probably like
he's probably making $500,000.
$250 a game.
How much
does
is
he
Shohei
want to
making?
give up $40,000 for calling a game?
Probably
3
not.
innings.
Probably not.
Shut up, Mookie.
Oh wow. Okay.
Ooh,
all right.
I
All
like
right.
it.
One
Tell
other note
Mookie I said that, Griffin.
about the schedules is next year on all the major, seems like at least on all the major holidays, every team, all 30 teams will be in action. Jackie Robinson Day,
I like that.
Memorial Day, Lou Gehrig Day, Roberto Clemente Day. Labor Day, July 4th.
That makes a lot of sense.
July 4th, Labor Day, all those days, all 30 teams in action for those days. And then lastly, the draft. Locally, Chris Hakopian, former Terp, and was he a Moco guy, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. He was picked 11th overall by the Nationals. He grew up a fan of the Nationals as well, so good for Chris Hakopian as well. The debate of Rock Chalowski versus Emerson Grady was decided.
Grady Emerson.
Is that? Oh, sorry.
Grady Emerson.
Grady Emerson. Emerson Grady. I feel like it should be Emerson Grady.
Grady Emerson.
I think it's Grady Emerson. Now you've got
Grady Emerson. It's Grady Emerson.
Is it Grady Emerson?
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was Emerson Grady.
All right.
No.
Rock won out. The White Sox took Rock Chalowski. Those are kind of your
Not
highlights.
Rock
No, they didn't take.
I'm glad there are now multiple Rocks in baseball.
Yeah, finally, we've been. I saw another
Been
one.
pining
I
for
should have
that.
saved it, I guess. But there was a gunner stat going around.
There are multiple Luke Jacksons in baseball.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. That the Orioles have, I think, all 3 of the gunners that there's ever been in the history of baseball, or something. Is that right?
I don't believe you.
I think
You just
they-
made that up.
No. I saw.
There's a gunner with the Oakland A's.
Oh, maybe
Gunnar
that's what I
Hoagland.
meant. The Orioles have 2 of the 3 because they drafted another
Who was-
gunner.
oh, okay.
And like
Okay.
in the
Gunnar
late.
Hoagland.
And then there's the one in Oakland.
I think they acquired.
Is this
him
what
from
Griffin does? He just
Toronto.
makes things up throughout the show?
No, I'm not making things up.
This is
This
week.
is why.
in the
This is why I
Normally
consult you
this
guys
week
to
in the
check
rest
me.
of baseball is fascinating.
Oh yeah.
This is why I
This was
consult
like,
you guys.
yeah, let's ask Luke. I would have.
Well, we don't have Luke here often.
There you go.
Wanted to get Luke's controversy. I mean,
What else is going on in
Luke and I-
baseball?
That's
You
it.
can
That's it.
stay
There's nothing
here.
else. The Tigers and Red Sox are good now. Should we be worried?
Oh, yes. Yes, you should be worried.
Tigers and Red Sox are good. What?
Are good now.
Oh, okay.
Red Sox won 9 in a row. They got a great looking rotation.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
got some
And
quality
without
starters.
Crochet.
Yeah.
Ranger Suarez will be activated
Do you
just
know
in time
if
to face
is he
the
coming
Orioles.
back anytime soon?
I have
Who?
no idea.
Crochet's even
I think
throwing?
Sandoval though is back, right?
Yeah. I don't know if Sandoval's back yet, but yeah, that
He's
kid they just called up.
definitely back.
Every kid they call up
I
is
don't
the
know
best
why I
pitcher.
asked.
Peyton
He's
Tolley.
definitely back.
Yeah.
Oh, he is.
I love Peyton Tolley.
Peyton
What a
Tolley.
hoss.
This guy Jake Bennett out of nowhere. I mean, like it's
All right.
it's
That's
been-
going to do it for this week
Oh, well,
in
hold
the
on.
rest of baseball. What?
I was
got-
gonna
we've gotta be
answer your
somewhere.
question about Crochet. I was gonna answer your question about
what's the
Crochet.
deal with Crochet?
Yeah.
Last update on Crochet, Chad Tracy said that he is yet to resume a formal throwing program.
So he's nowhere close.
He's nowhere close.
Should I drop him? I don't know,
Yeah,
jeez.
probably. Yeah.
Would it be better to roster Kyle Harrison in my IL
I
spot?
wanted to ask Evan Drellich about fantasy baseball. I think if there's
much more important
lengthy,
things right
I think if there's a lengthy strike, fantasy baseball as we know it
I don't think that's
is going to be gone. The age of people that play fantasy baseball,
I'm playing.
you're unique. My
I don't play.
group, it's a bunch of older people,
Old farts.
and they're gonna give it up. All right, that's going to
If
do
you
it for the
finance
show.
my team, I'll take over for
I'm
you.
not going to finance your team. When I'm out, I'm out. And it might be coming sooner rather than later. That's going to do it for this show and this week in the rest of baseball. Luke, thank you for stopping by. Always
when are we going to see
appreciate
you
it.
guys again?
We'll be back on Monday sometime around 5 o'clock, I think.
And as always, people should go to countysports.zone, get the latest on high school sports. You can find coaching changes, schedules for the fall sports coming up right around the corner as we are already towards the late July. Countysports.zone, powered by biotoyota.com.
All right, and pick up a copy of Magic in the Booth, the cover story on Kevin Brown. Our man Dave LaMonaco did a really nice job on it. That's going to wrap up the show today. For Griffin Bass, I'm
Thanks to our
Stan the
guest.
Fan.
Thanks to our guest as well.
Thanks to our guest, Evan Drellich, Dan Zielinski III,
Todd Kalas,
and Luke Jackson. That's going to do it for today's show. Glenn Clark in Monday through Thursday. I'm off next Friday and the next Friday.
Best of luck, Stan.
recuperating from hip surgery. That's it for now. Bye.
Wait a minute. It's Friday? It's time for Stan the Fan, Chief Grand Poobah Man, and the Friday Baseball Show. Griffin Bass helps bring more class to the Friday Baseball Show. They'll talk best games, Dan Charles is his name on the Friday Baseball Show. He's been in the owner's suite. He's been doing sports talk since 81. He's only lived in Baltimore for 45 years, but we'll give him a break on that. calls. It's the Friday Baseball Show. It's okay to say Glenn's back on Monday, but this is the Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show. The Friday Baseball Show. Duke still sucks.